Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Avon Online, and please subscribe to my channel and like my videos and please help me grow. And don't forget to check out my other channel, my gaming channel called Abahan Gaming. So subscribe to both my channels. So over the past few years, not just the past few years, but for quite a while, we have been having a lot of controversies surrounding one of the most iconic personalities of our times, which is Mr. Bill Gates. Bit of controversy surrounding all the vaccines and the kind of work that Gates have been involved in, especially after it was revealed that he had something to do with Jeffrey Epstein, although nothing was conclusive between them. This is from Tablet magazine, so let's just quickly go through it once. So on May 8th, Bill Gates announced to the New York Times that he planned to spend down in $200 billion dollars in his foundation's coffers by December 31st, 2045, several decades before originally intended. I mean, we have always been hearing this news, right, that Bill Gates has, pledged all his wealth for the betterment of people, for the progress. A month later, Gates revealed that the majority of the money will go to bolstering the work his foundation has been doing in Africa. But what exactly have they been doing there? In fact, I also don't know. Nobody knows for that matter. And here comes the damaging part. In January, Armin Rosen, working for Tablet magazine, he traveled to Nairobi, where he discovered not only that Kenyans are the raw material for Gates's better world, but that they hold the key to understanding what's in store for the rest of us too. That sounds really, really weird. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has 2,000 full-time employees, about four times as many as George Soros's Open Society Foundations. Let's not forget that. And a 1.6 billion yearly budget. It has given out $91 billion in grants this century, making it the richest and most generous American charity in history. Wow, such generosity. At this point, one thing that unites disparate outfits like the World Health Organization, NPR, and the Chinese government is that they are all, in some form or another, Gates funded institutions. Imagine that. One man has so much power, one man with a lot of money, that has to be mentioned, has so much power that he's handling World Health Organization and also the Chinese government. And they are all angled towards a global scale drive towards one man's concept of progress. This foundation is as incorporeal as the software that made it rich. It exists outside of nations and constitutions and laws, and its money is so widely distributed and so embedded in so many. Yeah, I mean, when you have so much money coming in with so many different private entities and public entities, in the country where the money is going to, then obviously where the money goes, who's handling the money, all of that becomes a bit vague, all of that becomes a bit hazy. Since 2003, Gates has given 506 grants to organizations in Kenya alone, totaling over $1.9 billion. But all that money has not brought love. And the billionaire is now considered one of the country's most public villains. Okia Ogdata Okoiti. He's a senator of Kenya, Busia country, and a human rights activist. Okay, so he says that I don't know where they are in Nairobi, never seen even a letterhead of the Bill Gates Foundation or a business card or anything, or even somebody saying I work for the Bill Gates Foundation. You encounter their influence, but you don't encounter them. That's the thing. The money flows in, and you have all the public and private entities working with them, but you don't really know who's working with them. So Gatesian world improvement can be seen through three distinctive efforts now underway. The introduction of a new vaccine against malaria, a new vaccine against malaria, as if the old ones didn't work at all, a far-reaching agricultural reform program, and a divisive campaign to vaccinate cattle, which have woven together to make a braid of wide mistrust. What was wrong with the previous iterations, the previous vaccines that we had of malaria? I mean, over here, it doesn't look like it's a development problem in the sense that you don't have to do R&D to create newer vaccines. You can already find the ones that work and then use the R&D to make them better. But instead, you're creating new vaccines, you're spending more money behind it, which you say that you are spending, but what you are putting in the vaccine, that nobody knows. Faith Mawang, Mawangi. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Faith Mawangi. The first name is really good. Kenya Peasants League. He says countries that can't produce their own seeds will be completely reliant on the West or on Bill Gates. The Svalbard Global Seaport, located in the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen in the Arctic. Backup facility for the world's crop diversity. It stores duplicate seed samples from gene banks around the world. Bill Gates' involvement with the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, often called the Doomsday Vault. Why would you call a seed vault? Why would you call it a doomsday vault? That in itself is, giving out all the wrong signals. Gates's Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Is Melinda still with Bill? I think they are separated, right? Anyway, so what is their plan? That when countries that do not produce their own seeds, they will be reliant on Bill. And this guy is absolutely right. Fortunately or unfortunately for the planet's poverty stricken masses, the Gates Foundation looks increasingly like the future of global governance. It is offering to solve the world's biggest problems. It does not have to fundraise and it cannot be defunded. It's not answerable to taxpayers. And as representatives of Bill Gates' fortune, its agents are taken seriously wherever they go. That's true. That's true. They are taken very, very seriously. Oh, white guy with a lot of money. Yeah, all doors open for them. Red carpets. Gates has no democratic accountability to anyone. This is the problem with the Gatesian model of global governance. They have no accountability. Because where is their money going? You can't place a finger on the money. Suppose that money goes into funding terrorist entities. What do we do then? Or insurgents. For instance, you have the Boko Haram active in many parts. You have the Somalian pirates. You have so many other insurgents and militant outfits. So what if some of this money accidentally goes to them? Accidentally being the key word of here, because nobody gives money to these people. But then, oh, where did that money go? Oh, I'm so sorry, it went to the hands of these people who are now using that money to buy weapons and buy equipment, and now they're using it on innocent people. How unconstrained attempts as altruism can morph into something farcical or even dark. That's the point. One man with so much power, if he dictates to everyone, okay, this is my idea of Gatesian governance, that will obviously morph into something very, very dark. Especially when you have all these controversies surrounding it, especially the one with Jeffrey Epstein. Melinda Gates addresses ex-husband Bill Gates' deeply troubling ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Gates addresses ties with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And his net worth is only growing with the financial. I mean, of course, it's growing. I'm using Microsoft right now. So, with the financial and political freedom that astronomical amounts of money can secure, a freedom that not even governments enjoy anymore. Kenyans' future is our future too. To understand it, read this. Yeah, please go to this feature and to Tablet Magazine and read this. Really eye-opening article. First time I read it, I was like, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I'm not saying that everything is true. When you look at things at a face value, when you take things at a face value, it doesn't make much sense. But then you go into it deeper, and then you realize that, yeah, maybe there's something there. How did I miss that? That's the feeling I'm getting right now. That's the feeling I was getting when I was going through this article by Arning Rose. I will share the link down below if you guys want to go through it. It's a really well written article. Look at this. I trust him as much as I trust it. When a guy has enough money to end world hunger, end poverty, regenerate the soul, and clean the ocean, instead he chooses to pump his money into GMO mosquitoes. What is GMO mosquitoes? Genetically modified mosquitoes. Yeah, GM mosquitoes, basically. Why do we need GM mosquitoes, by the way? Tested to control mosquito population, particularly those that carry diseases like malaria. They were talking about malaria vaccinations. Yeah, Zika and dengue fever, genetically altered in labs to reduce their ability to transmit diseases. Okay, help me out over here. So they are making GMO mosquitoes to reduce their ability to transmit the diseases. Then why are they spending money behind malaria vaccines again? That's fishy. Anyway, so yeah, instead chooses to pump his money into GMO mosquitoes, blocking out the sun. That's another thing I will be covering in my videos. Not in this one, but in another video. Please do check it out too. Creating fake meat, and most importantly, producing toxic vaccines for 7 billion people. You have to ask yourself why. Look at this video. I really want you guys to see this video. Let's see it.
Negotiating things that can destroy the sovereignty of Africa. We cannot afford to trust WHO anymore, Your Excellency. And I'll just mention a few things that have caused great concern to us. In 2014, 2015, WHO brought tetanus eradication campaign in our country. It was a campaign to eradicate neonatal tetanus, babies who are born who eventually get tetanus. And the vaccine that was used.
Okay, my first question is how do they figure out which babies are going to develop tetanus later on? Because in India, like while growing up, when we had accidents and I cut myself on some rusty nail or something, that was the time we were given tetanus, right?
Is a different type of a tetanus vaccine that is a fertility regulating vaccine, where they take tetanus and combine it with a hormone called human chorionic gonadotropin that supports pregnancy. And when you inject a woman with that vaccine, she produces antibodies against that hormone and therefore is rendered sterile. So we are noticing an increase in the number of infertility cases among young couples who you examine and they are normal but cannot get children, or couples who are losing 3, 4, 5 pregnancies before they can carry any pregnancy to term.
I mean, it sounds very weird, but I can see the utility of such a vaccine. Like you're trying to stop women from producing more babies. That's the point. So essentially, you're bringing down the world population. But is this the right way to do so? I mean, once the children have been born, obviously you can't go and remove them or eradicate them. That would be even more wrong. But is this right? Whatever this gentleman is saying, that you are stopping the pregnant women from having children, like those women are not being able to produce children because of this kind of vaccines. Is this right on any ethical level? I leave that up to you guys. Let me know down in the comments below.
And we have even published a paper that is available. And fortunately, in 2017, WHO said Kenya is now free of neonatal tetanus and they left our country. But they developed this vaccine over a 20-year period of research from 1972 to 1992. And they used that vaccine in South America.
This is the weirdest thing about African countries. African countries, I feel, have been used as a laboratory, as a, testing ground for human experiment. But I have, I've always had this feeling that yes, African population have been used by companies and, organizations like the World Health Organization. Imagine even the World Health Organization is up this kind of nonsense. So what can you expect from other organizations, like private organizations? What are they doing over there? Nobody knows, because they don't have any accountability. Like they have been, according to this gentleman, they have been developing this vaccine for the last 20 years. For 20 fucking years, they have been pumping the African women with these kind of vaccines. And God knows what else they have been giving them. How to prevent future pandemics. Yeah. With the amount of money that these guys have, There's not one prison in the world which can hold him. Gates hides his experimental work in Africa. Nothing he does there is for the good of humanity. It is more to advance his coffers than anything. Therefore, people can now understand his words when he says that he's spending down his fortune. It's nothing but under the lie. They'll keep setting fires until you submit to their climate change agenda. They'll keep faking pandemics until you submit to medical slavery. Reality is, no lives matter. Only money matters. The psychopaths in charge. Totally agree with that. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think.